up, virtual people? Welcome to Fandom Spotlight's spoiler-filled review of David Gordon Green's Halloween Ends. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, and today I am joined by three radical guests. First up, she runs an audio and post-production studio, has produced dozens of special edition DVDs, Blu-rays, and documentaries. Her upcoming Doc Angela the Sleepaway Camp documentary is coming soon. Melanie Mullen is on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
And speaking of studios, our next guest is fresh out of the recording studio where his band Crash Romeo just put the finishing touches on their third record, the lead single of which can be heard in the film Terrifier 2. Steve Anderson is on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And rounding out this righteous crew, making his first appearance on a Fandom Spotlight video, newest writer on the FS team and genius super scribe, Martin Maruri is on the show.
Hey, yeah, excited to talk about this.
Well, Halloween Ends has finally premiered, and I already feel like the old man telling this Corey kid to get the hell out of my franchise. But before I get to that, and this goes for everyone watching in the live chat too, how and when did the Halloween franchise come into your life? And which of the sequels has been your favorite so far? So sound off in the live chat, and whoever wants to weigh in first on the panel with their own Halloween backstory. Figure, Melanie, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. So the first, oh God, I don't even know how old I was. It was maybe like 10 or 11 or 12 or something. And my mom knew I was getting very into horror films, and so she was like at Costco one day and bought me the VHS of Halloween 6, not knowing that it was Halloween 6, and she thought it was the original.
Oh, because they took the numbers out. That's why they do that. That's why they don't put numbers on after a certain point.
And so I watched Halloween 6 and didn't know what the fuck was going on, because I was like, who's Jamie Lloyd? Who's Dr. Loomis? Who's Laurie Strode? Who's Tommy Doyle? Like, I didn't, so that was the first time I'd ever watched a Halloween film. But I think because of that, I am one of the few people who still enjoy Halloween 6, even though it's like batshit stupid crazy. But I love the way the film was shot, and it's just a good looking movie. And to me, atmosphere makes up for a lot of its shortcomings to an extent where I can still enjoy it despite its ridiculous storyline.
I am also a Halloween 6 defender, I just gotta say. Much to Steve's chagrin, I know, but I agree. I mean, I think it's shot really well. Yeah, I even like the producer's cut, and as weird as it gets, there's just something about Paul Rudd and the earnestness of that. But I love that you came into that and it had like the same vibe that I feel when like I was a kid watching a soap opera with my parents, when like if they were gonna watch General Hospital or All My Children, I'd be like, I don't know who any of these people are, but okay. So would you say 6 is your favorite sequel then?
No. Absolutely not. I'd say, well, I love Halloween 3, but I guess if we're sticking with Michael Myers Halloweens,
you don't have to. You can be the cool kid and be like, yeah, Halloween 3.
I love Halloween 3. As far as Michael Myers sequels go, probably Halloween 4 is my favorite. Even though I enjoy Halloween 2 very much, but it's so slow, and Michael Myers walks in like slow motion, and like anyone could realistically get away from him. But I guess that's how he sneaks up on people. I don't know. I do like Halloween. I've always liked Halloween 2 a lot, but Halloween 4 is probably my favorite of the Michael Myers sequels.
I would definitely concur with your rankings in a big way. Steve Martin, how did the Halloween franchise come into your lives? Whoever wants to go first.
Steve Martin's here.
Well, Steve or Martin, yes, right?
I'll go.
Sure.
I saw the first Halloween probably when I was way too young, or I probably shouldn't have been seeing it at that point. I was probably like 6 or 7. And
oh wow, that is young. Shit.
Yeah, my dad had always been into horror movies, and he would just, when my mom went to work, he would just sneak in horror movies and show me stuff that he thought was really cool. And
that's awesome.
It scared me for weeks.
Oh, I believe it.
For weeks. It was just so different. I at that point I had seen like still some things like Killer Clowns and things that I guess were a little bit more silly or maybe more tame. And Halloween, it seemed it was the first one I feel like I saw that it seemed real. That it could
I can see that.
happen. So at that age, I remember like just being scared and thinking I was like, oh God, someone's gonna come in and murder my 7-year-old self. And it was just like, but I really love the first movie. So since then, I try to rewatch it every year if I can, especially during this season. As far as sequels go, four is my favorite too.
Right on. Yeah,
Four is my
four
favorite.
is like, it's hard to even verbalize sometimes what's so great about four, but I would definitely put myself in a similar boat. I wasn't quite as young, 6 or 7. I may have first seen clips when I was about 7, but I don't think I watched the whole thing until a few years down the road. Steve, how old were you when you first discovered the Halloween franchise?
How old are you when you're in like 6th grade? What's that?
I guess it's like 11,
Okay,
12.
so yeah, that around then I guess, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like a reasonable age. That's like, about
Yeah.
the same age for me. Maybe
Yeah, I saw
10,
that,
11.
I remember, we thought it was a buddy of mine or his parents had it or whatever. And we're like, yeah, we would just throw on anything. We watched that. It's kind of funny. We watched that and we're like, this is awesome. Like we should, he's like, I know there's a bunch more of them. Seen them at the video store or whatever. So we went down. I think we got 2, 3, and 4. Watched 2, like awesome. 3, we're like, damn it, we got the wrong thing. Like, no idea. Like, so no joke, we didn't watch 4 because we were like, we got to go back and get the right 3 before we watch 4.
Oh,
this
man.
was the thing that went up.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. I remember that being like, but they don't have it. No one has it. Like the
No one
video
has
store has every copy of all of them.
The
We went to,
mythical
like,
Halloween
Blockbuster.
copy. Nobody has.
Yeah, right. And we're like, then this thing keeps showing up.
That's
And then
really
I think
funny,
somebody
though.
figured it out. Yeah.
Oh my
But-
God, that's fucking amazing. Yeah, well, it should have just been called Season of the Witch, but that's, we'll get to that at a different point. And I'll get to, and which of these sequels would be your favorite?
Oh man, there's got to be a toss up between Resurrection and the second Rob Zombie one, right?
Yeah, I gotta say Busta clearly just doesn't get the respect he deserves in this franchise. It's obvious.
Oh, yeah.
It's really his story. I don't know why they keep giving us Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, when all
Yeah,
we
right.
want is Busta,
Oh, yeah. That's all we want.
they had everything in the palm of their hand.
I guess 4 would have to be the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
that's the right answer, right?
well, there is no right answer. I mean, the
Yes,
hip.
There are wrong ansers.
Well, I mean, there's
Yeah.
certainly wrong answers, but I feel like the hip and in vogue answer nowadays is to say Halloween 3. It's just like it's somehow done such a one, like 20 years ago, like everyone hated Halloween 3, and now like everyone loves Halloween 3 or claims to at least
So
mostly have always
good.
loved it. I love Tom Atkins. There's a lot I love about Halloween 3, but there's also a lot that just like feels like a gut punch. But I'll get to that in a sec. I do want to touch on the live chat here and just say hi to everyone who's kind enough to tune in with us tonight. I see Sean Gold of Gold's Code in the live chat. I see Matt Sharp in the live chat. Thank you so much for tuning in, my man. He says he was 5 years old when he saw Halloween 1978.
boy.
Jesus
Oof.
Christ. That would have haunted my dreams for a very long time. Fandom Spotlight asks if Sean Gold is calling Steve Kane hotter by proclaiming Kane hotter in the chat. I don't know what that's about, but okay. Gold says, don't be modest. You guys brought a celeb in the house. And Sean Gold says, how much of a super chat do I have to pay to get Chris to change his attire? So as always, there's a lot of Hawaiian shirt jokes. Matt Sharp also says Halloween 3 is cool, but he loves part 4. Brad says 4 has one of the best opening credit sequences ever in a horror film. I never thought of it that way. I think I love all the little stupid weird things about 4, I guess. Like 4 is one of those ones I love for its flaws. Like I love the weird like preacher in the car with the flask, and you've been hunting it, ain't you? Oh yeah, you've been hunting it I've been hunting the bastard to come too damn close. Like you're like, what is the subtext of this scene as a little kid? You're like, I'll figure this out when I'm old. Then you grow up and you're like, oh, there's no subtext. This just
No,
it's like the doggy chow scene in Showgirls. Just weird and great. Like it doesn't need to be.
No, I think 2 has the longest credit sequence of any movie ever.
Yeah, you might be right about that. 2's credit sequence is very, very long. There's a lot of love for 4 and some love for the Silver Shamrock theme. Gold Squirrel says Halloween 1 is great, except Tommy is carving a pumpkin on Halloween night. Makes no sense. You carved before.
He's always procrastinating.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the red pen nature of
I always wondered about that too, though. I always wondered about that too. And then also something that always bugged me, and this was from like the very first time I saw Halloween when I was really young, is I was like, what are Lindsay's parents going to say when they get home? And Annie's like, oh, Lindsay is sleeping across the street with a boy. Like
that is fucking weird. I never thought about
that.
Like
what? And she's like falling asleep over there. So like what are her parents going to say when they get home?
I think that may honestly be one of those things where like 1978 was like a supremely different and more innocent time where you just thought like, oh, just kids, kids take naps all the time. There's no harm there,
We find out in the sequel, right, that their parents don't really seem to give a shit about anything, right?
Is that true? I mean, I don't know what's canonical and what's not anymore, because now we get, and again, I should give my backstory as a Halloween fan. I was about the same age as Steve, saw 1, immediately just plowed through the rest of the franchise. And even though like, the first Halloween freaked me out, like probably more than any other movies were around that age, there was just something about it that was so appealing. And so like, anytime it was on, you couldn't tune out. And I still have that. And I do consider the first film to, like most people, to be one of the most perfect horror films ever. It's like right up there with The Exorcist and Texas Chainsaw. It's one of these things that somehow accomplishes being art. And, even though it was imitated by a million just like soulless slasher flicks,
it's
that
the
first
best slasher movie ever made, right?
Yeah, it is. It's like the Stairway to Heaven of slasher movies, and that was a ripoff too. And you could say, yeah, they stole it from Black Christmas and all this and blah blah blah. But you know what? Halloween's like the ultimate version of that kind of movie. And 2 is a good sequel. It's gorier and it goes more with the flavors of the day. 3 just went where it went, and people will have feelings one way or the other. But like 4 obviously got things sort of back on track. 5 really knocked it off. 6 kind of got a little weirder, and then H2O Resurrection, it just things got so fucking crazy that I can understand the direction that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride approached this new trilogy with, which again, like, I think you can't really talk about just this one movie. I think you sort of have to talk about at least the whole trilogy, if not the whole series. But I myself, when I heard, they're doing a new trilogy of Halloween films and Jamie Lee Curtis, like I obviously got really excited and thought this could be amazing. Carpenter's supposed to be involved, and then you hear he's not that involved, and then you start hearing, they're not brother and sister anymore, and it's not. Well, I'm like, well, who's this movie for then? Like, it's obviously not for the fans who've been like watching these movies, and to me, it was weird to take that away. It's like making a Star Wars movie and be like, you know what? I don't think Darth Vader really was Luke Skywalker's father. I'm gonna do it so that they weren't, because that's the way I liked it back. And then it's like, no, we've been living with this for 40 years. Like, you can't just change that on us now. But I know the first film was popular. I don't know. What did you guys think of Halloween 2018?
I don't care for it. I think it is the best of the 3 new ones.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I think I've always had a big problem with, I absolutely cannot stand Laurie in these movies, especially in this and Halloween Kills. I think that for when you retcon, so the way she is in Halloween 2018 would make a lot more sense if Halloween 2 was still a part of that timeline.
I agree.
I'm not really like, of course, I think anybody would have PTSD if they went through, if they experienced what she experienced. But I feel like having just the events of Halloween 1 having taken place, I feel like H2O Laurie is a lot more a much more realistic approach to the character than having her essentially be Sarah Connor.
Yes.
Whereas, again, like, so in this timeline, it's not his sister. So she, which honestly, I get that a lot of people didn't like that storyline, but I didn't dislike it so much that I felt it needed to be retconned. And yeah, it's just the way she is, to me, is just, it's insufferable. It's overkill. And it's, to me, it's just, the writing is very lazy.
Well, the other thing,
the writing's extremely lazy.
Yeah,
I agree on all counts as well. The other thing to me that's weird about retconning the fact of them being brother and sister is like, okay, well, maybe you need to do that to do something different then. Okay, what are you going to do with it? Like, oh, we're going to have them go after Laurie and her family. So, didn't really, it's just like you just needed to throw that line in there, didn't you? Then, because you think it's cool to like retcon that.
There's a lot of shit that they forgot about. If they were just going based off the first one, that none of this would make any sense or would have happened, like later in those 3 movies. And being one of them is like, why would she even be under the impression that he would want to necessarily straight go after her if he ever got released anyway? Like it doesn't. Yeah, she's like living in this compound, like creating a trap for him. She knows he's the ultimate. I mean, maybe she was just listening to Loomis the whole time. She was the only one, but
we still don't know at all. There's 3 movies of him going after her again, and we never learn what that is, why that is.
I think in Kills there's a line in there, like a piece of dialogue where Will Patton's character, when she's in the hospital, he says something along the lines of like telling her to stop, that he doesn't even remember you or stuff, something like that. There's a scene in Kills. And I feel like when I heard that, not to skip 2018 and just talk about Kills, but
no,
I feel like it made Laurie almost unlikable, because
she was so unlikable in Kills. She didn't even want to be in that movie. You could tell.
If that's the case, why are you so selfish? Why are you not grabbing your family and getting out of there? Because if he doesn't remember you, if he's supposed to be not your brother, if he's supposed to be just a killer who that's where he lives, so he's going back and he doesn't know you, like, why do you need to be the one to stop him? And
what's her, like, what narrative does she have in her head that it would even happen? Who's explaining to her?
And that's the funny part too, is now that they're in the 3rd film you bring out the narration, right? That hasn't been there in the other 2 movies, and now all of a sudden it is literally the Sarah Connor narration. It's like a black highway stretched out at night. The future seemed hopeful.
Well, that's the problem that I have with this new trilogy. Is personally I feel like none of the movies connect to each other very well. I feel like they all seem like 3 really different movies.
Oh, the whole series is like that. I hate to say it, but it really is.
True, but
this one that's supposed
they
to
made
be,
this one. I'm sorry.
No, it's just for this one that's supposed to be. I feel like it was supposed to continue, and it's supposed to be an actual trilogy.
Cohesive, it's supposed to be a cohesive trilogy. Yeah,
I feel like people change the way they are in movies. They forget about things that happened in previous movies, and they all feel so different. It feels so disjointed.
It does, and they were given this green light to do a trilogy, bringing this back in, all with Jamie Lee Curtis. They're given every opportunity to rectify every mistake this franchise has ever made before.
Yeah, they have all 3 movies to do it. Yeah,
they have. You know what I mean? They're like, well, you know what? We have 3 movies to do it. Well, right out of the gate, I just thought of this. Is it technically then, if I was to watch these movies, I'd never seen them before, and you were like, I really like how they did it with this retconning, whatever, would I be watching Halloween, then Halloween 2, then Halloween 3? Is that like a, yeah?
I don't know. This timeline is like worse than the Terminator series timeline. It is funny that these films often get so compared to each other.
And they bring in new people, but not a single character in any of these movies are very likable.
Right.
Anyone. Yeah.
And they really don't move the ball forward in any major way in any of these movies, except for doing like a more definitive version of H2O at the end of Halloween Ends. But again, and they retcon so much stuff just to do it again. Like they retcon Halloween 2, which ends with him getting trapped and burned alive, just so they could end their movie with him getting trapped and burned alive. Like as if that's gonna have some new car smell now to it, you know.
I would have rather this had just been a sequel to H2O, like
H4O.
Sure. Yeah, actually, the timing would have been perfect.
Just retcon Busta. That's it.
You know, you wouldn't even have to retcon Resurrection. As terrible as it is, that would be so easy to write off as like a copycat.
Oh, that's
killer.
True.
It would have been so easy
Friday
to write
five
that
it.
off.
You Friday five.
That's
that
what
shit.
you do. That's the solution to everything. It wasn't him.
They have so much back catalog between their movies and other slasher franchises to know all the tropes and all the mistakes you could and all the pitfalls you could fall into. And like now that we know all this, let's just do all that again. Like
it wasn't him in H2O. It wasn't him in Resurrection. Well, it was him in H2O. It just wasn't him who died in H2O.
Well,
and in Resurrection, that was just somebody else completely.
I just have to jump in and say, because I know we're going to talk about Corey at some point in this. Spending all this time on Corey is like repeating the same mistake of Halloween 3, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6, Friday the 13th Part 5, Friday the 13th Part 9, Nightmare on Elm Street 7, Leprechaun 7, Hellraiser 9, and the Child's Play remake. Of being like, we're going to take this franchise where everyone loves this killer and we're going to kind of like not give it to you. Wouldn't that be great? Like, no, stop trying to do that. It pisses people off every time.
I didn't mind. See, I didn't mind 2018's Halloween. I didn't love it. I felt it was fine. I wish
it wasn't worthy of reclaiming the original's title. If that's what you make, you shouldn't call it Halloween. You should call it Halloween Lives or some, whatever.
I remember really liking the trailer too. The trailer first hit. I was like, oh wow.
I had a lot of hope for this trilogy.
Yeah.
And honestly, the first time I saw 2018, I saw it at a test screening like 6 months before it came out.
Oh, wow.
And I hadn't really fully formed my opinion on it because I was honestly just so excited that he had a good looking mask again. That was just like that over to me, like on the first
after the H2O debacle.
Like I always thought that Laurie was very annoying in 2018. But I was kind of like, well, I don't know if any Halloween fans will hate 2018 just because again it's like you finally have like you have like Michael Myers back. You finally like he's back.
I feel like a lot of people did like 2018 and even me not like minding it at all. I feel like these two sequels that came after make it so much worse.
Right. I was gonna say the same thing. Like I remember kind of even liking it, like with whatever. Maybe I was just excited, like you said. But I think if these other two would have blown it out of the water, it would be like it could be looked on as like a pretty positive all around trilogy.
Right.
If the first one would have been.
And when you have three movies to do things with, if you plan it out well, it could always be incredible. That's the whole point of doing a trilogy.
It feels like they did not plan it out.
They did not at all. They just said that we want to make 3 of them, and we can probably do that in the span that we have the rights from the Akkads. Because let's remember who's been running this franchise into the ground for so long. It has been the Akkad family. They're just like, well, I don't know. We make one with Busta Rhymes, and maybe people like, I don't know.
Whose fault was this? Danny McBride.
This was that's what it all comes down to, right? Whose fault is all this? This all started because Hollywood is a star fuckery place, and Danny McBride and the director of Eastbound and Down, who's also the director of Pineapple Express, obviously we're just like, well, we really like Halloween and we're like super famous, so like we should just obviously write the whole like trilogy and axe every other Halloween movie from continuity And it's just so weird that it happened. I think you said the other day, you're like, stay in your lane. And I was like, you know what? That is good advice. I wish someone had given that to Danny McBride.
I worked in development long enough to know that you can never just blame one person.
No, I'm sure,
But at the end of the day, there are certain people who say whether or not this is making it to the screen. Which I'm baffled. Like, I'm baffled how 2018 made it to the screen in its current form. And the same for Halloween Kills, which to me felt like Halloween Kills, the script for that feels like they had a fan fiction contest on Halloween message board. And whoever won gets to write the next Halloween film. That's how it feels for me. I did not feel like this was a film that was written by experienced screenwriters.
It felt like it wasn't a script that was written by. It feels like it was someone who's never been around human beings. You know what I mean? Like,
we always joke about the Terminator Salvation, that one line where all of a sudden Christian Bale says, "What are you?" And it's like makes no sense in the conversation. Those lines are all over this trilogy.
Yeah, all three of them.
All three of these movies have those like, what the fuck? That's not even how human beings converse with each other type of dialogue.
Especially this last one. There's so many things, so many choices made that.
And the character motivations are like ludicrous, like amongst the most ludicrous I've seen, especially in this last one. And I go on all day. Again, I like to reiterate that like making films is like hard work, and I know like Danny McBride is really talented, and so is David Gordon Green. I like Pineapple Express, I like Eastbound and Down, but I'm not, who the hell am I to like talk shit on their movies? But I'm such a fan of this that it's just like so easy how you could have done this right and how you could have done this for the fans. But I think the curse of the Halloween series is that almost every single sequel has not been made for the fans. It's just some guy making the movie for himself to his own tastes. Like every time it's you hear some of the actors talk about the director. Well, he was just trying to get a multi-picture deal at Dimension, or he was just trying to do this, or he's just, he wanted to make it really gory, or the one from 5 never saw a Halloween movie and it shows. And, H2O wanted to ignore all this shit. It's like they just keep on not making it for the fans. To me, and I've been saying it from the get-go, if you really wanted to make a trilogy for the fans and you have 3 movies to do it, it should have been having Jamie Lee Curtis and Danielle Harris eventually both in the fucking same scenes to get, you tie it all in because you have 3 movies to do it. I don't care how crazy weird those movies got with the Cult of Thorn. Like, you have 3 fucking movies to tie it all up, and you should tie up even the Cult of Thorn too. Like, leave no stone unturned.
Not at this point. You wouldn't leave Jamie Lee Curtis to an entire movie in a hospital bed?
No, I mean, that's the thing with Kills too. In addition to wasting Anthony Michael Hall, which is a crime in and of itself, it just wastes Jamie Lee Curtis. She doesn't want to be in that movie. Like, she doesn't get out of bed. That's some Brando shit. Like, I only do the movie if I don't have to get out of bed for it.
The thing with this one too, I feel like what hurts it, I don't even know if it's the most, because a lot of things I feel like hurt it, but I feel like the time jump is so bad. I feel like because you see Laurie in Kills in the hospital, and you see her one in Revenge, and then the next movie she's like baking desserts and
she's totally
gone on her Eat, Pray, Love journey since Halloween.
which is fine, but like it's so jarring because what happened between that? The last movie Kills ended literally with your daughter dying. That's literally how it ended.
Yeah.
And the girl Allison, the character Allison, and her mother dying, and then it's like, I'm writing a book and I don't care about revenge anymore, even though I did for 40 years. But this
I totally it's like, I got this now. Her biggest fear and her everything that was crippling her in life that she feared would ever come into fruition, and everyone thought she was crazy about it, did. And then it murdered most of her family. And then, you know, she's like, all right, we'll see. That's
It's like
She
there's
should
enough
have-
Time to be at peace with it now.
right. She should have been in that asylum that he was in.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's
I
a-
wonder, like, I kind of thought I wondered if they were going to, from the approach that, oh, well, she realizes now that being the way she was didn't save anybody. So now she's choosing to live her life. And if he comes back, then she'll deal with it, you know. But like,
if they
I don't
interjected that concept into the movies at all, like if she had some kind of an arc where she came to that realization and turned it around or whatever, like
right.
you know,
Yeah.
then that would make total sense. But they
Exactly.
never show
No,
you anything
exactly.
like that. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
It just
And
makes
there's
sense.
all the time.
It's not earned.
nothing.
Yeah, and there's all the
Yeah.
time in the world to earn it. That's the part that kills me. You have
Yeah.
that
3 fucking
star-crossed
movies.
lovers relationship in that third one. Of the
Oh
two,
God, yeah.
it's so. It's like I don't have a word for it. Like you know, like it's so insane that
Yeah.
I can't even. Like she introduces him, and that night he stalks her out, and then the next
Yeah.
day they're ready to leave town together.
Yeah, it's
And
not
the part where he comes up and tells her he murdered someone. On the second time he'd met, you know, they'd hung out.
He might as
Like, I don't
well,
think
and the
it's
way
a-
she reacts to it, he might as well be telling her that he wears long sleeve shirts under short sleeve shirts over long sleeve shirts. Like, you know,
She has
that's
no
basically
reaction.
her
It's
reaction.
okay. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's, no, it's weird. What's weird to me is that not only Laurie's character is so different. Yeah, Allison's character is so different too, because like the way she goes after Laurie, it didn't make any sense to me, because you want to run away with this Corey, you want to do all this. You just survived like all this
Yeah.
other crap, and you just lost all these brain cells now. Like
You're so right. You lost your whole family, you know, pretty much, and found out that this horrible reality or whatever is now a part of your life, and the shared trauma with you and your grandmother, who's going to move in with you, and you guys are going to try to, you know, they just treat it like she's a shitty teenager who, like, you know, kicking along with her.
And it could work.
Yeah.
It could work if we saw the change, but like I said, none of it's earned, because
Right.
we have no idea. Like, what happened to you two? Why are you so happy? It's nice, but why?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Allison
Well,
isn't happy. She's
no.
more so just resigned to her reality.
But I think
go on.
what they did was they made, you know, Laurie do a 180 so they could have her do a 180 again before the third act. It's like they need her
Right.
to have an arc, and they're like, oh, okay. Well, what if
Right.
like she's totally not Laurie and then she becomes Laurie again, right? Like no one will see that
Right.
coming. Like
I also don't really understand why the town blames her for what happened, because
Yeah, they don't
essentially
sell
she
that
just
right.
essentially she just was like staying at her house and like didn't leave very often, and she didn't really do anything. Like they even established in Halloween Kills, which is something they had to do after Halloween 2018, when people were like, he wasn't even trying to come after her. He just ended up there. He only ended up there because of the doctor.
They have
and-
a throw. Oh, no.
No, it's fine. No, I just was like, it wasn't his, she's not his sister. Like there was nothing, like Michael did not care about her, and he would never have come after her if that dumb doctor hadn't driven him there.
Even in this movie, he ends up at her house because he wants his mask back. He doesn't care who lives there. Like, he's like, oh, okay, I'll kill you now. Like he was going after Corey more than he was her.
Well, you know, I didn't think about this, but shout out to my buddy Adon Gonzalez over at Staunch TV. It's the best 90s nostalgia comfort channel on YouTube. But he made a meme or, you know, whatever. He photoshopped an image of Michael riding on the back of Corey's motorcycle. Because if you think about it, that's the only way Michael got there with Corey that night. Like, you know, so
I love
Evil
that Michael
Rides
Myers
Tonight.
drives cars.
Evil Rides Tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. Like you do this trilogy so you could, and honestly, when I was watching Halloween Ends, there were moments where I thought like, oh, they must have wound up hating someone and made this as bad as possible. To like, I think they tried to tank this movie. Like, I was literally thinking that, like, oh man, they tanked this movie.
See, to me, Halloween Kills, I felt like somebody at Blumhouse was directly trying to kill me. I found a way to make it all about me, and I was like, someone at Blumhouse is trying to kill me because this movie has crushed my soul, which is why going into Halloween Ends, I guess my feelings on Halloween Ends aren't nearly as strong as my feelings about Halloween Kills, because I hate Halloween Kills so much.
When we watched
that Halloween Ends, I just went into it. I'm like, whatever. I don't even care.
Right. I was like, it can't be any worse than the last one. And if it
there's no way. If it was worse, it was because they were deliberately trying to make it worse.
Yeah, and I think really they were by being like, let's spend an hour on this Michael's new protege, and let's make Michael like the Chuck Norris to his Jonathan Brandis. And it's like Michael's living in a sewer pipe down by the river. He's senior mutant Michael Myers. There's just so many things about this that I'm just, what the fuck? I liked him living in a sewer better in part 5. Again, they retcon things just so they can do it again and think that it's fresh. I
feel like he didn't even live in a sewer in part 5. He lived with that little hermit man by the river.
That was the sewer by the river, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't a sewer.
It was like a hut.
It was
maybe
hut.
It was like a hut.
It was like a river hut.
It reminded me more of that Friday the 13th remake where Jason was like a tunnel. Yeah, like living in tunnels underground.
Everyone loved that so much. Let's put Michael Myers in a fucking sewer under Hattie.
Right, exactly.
This movie also, I feel like the movie also doesn't feel like, I feel like it doesn't feel like an ending. I feel like it feels like a middle movie, if even. Like it besides those last 10 minutes, which once again are not earned at all.
I hate to say, but there's a lot of things
chain that went on for that entire town to show up to carry.
Yeah. Hey, Michael's finally dead. Yeah. We're all gonna shove him into a garbage chute together.
The thing too is that town must be the smallest town ever. Because did you notice how like everyone ran into each other like at like the dumbest times? Also, like characters just showed up. It was so convenient. Like
what's her name? Lindsay Wallace is also the bartender, of course,
and a tarot card reader.
She's also Miss Cleo.
Yeah. Well, I just thought, I don't know, the whole thing about like Michael essentially getting like a queen's procession to the dump yard.
Right.
It really was.
I just like, I'm sorry, like I don't want to laugh when I watch these movies, but they're just so fucking dumb. Like who, like I just can't. Like it's so stupid. Like who thought that was a good idea? And I mean, they brought back the kid from Halloween 2018 just to show him walking into the dump yard. But like,
I didn't even catch that.
Why was Lindsay in that?
So apparently, if you want to be the next Michael Myers, you just find him and wrestle him, right? Like that. If you just wrestle him good enough and you get his mask and you get out of there, then you're Michael Myers and you get to be there, right? Right?
Even Michael's motivation in this movie makes no fucking sense and is inconsistent. Like, come on now. Like, this is worse than Paul Rudd being like, well, I'm going to put these runes on the ground, these rocks, and say Sam Hain, and then Michael's going to be frozen.
This really made me reevaluate everything about the Cult of Thorn. And I think, maybe it wasn't such a bad idea after all.
The Cult of Thorn, the Cult of Thorn was like a day at the beach compared to where we are.
That's what I mean. And I hated that whole concept. I really did. I really despised that.
Yeah. Now I'm like, I gotta watch.
Those were the good old days.
Today I watched Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 as like a palate cleanser today. That's where we're at. That's where we're at now.
Oof, man.
Here's the thing. I think to me, it's kind of like Halloween 6. It is a great looking film. Lots of very bad choices story-wise. And Laurie and her friends are so stupid and annoying, but But it's a great looking movie, and so I can still watch it and find some semblance of enjoyment. Not a good movie, but it's not the worst in the franchise.
They're really forgettable movies. I was trying to think about them before we started doing this. I was trying to like, which one was which and what happened in either of them, and I couldn't pull almost anything out of it. I remember, like, it did look good. They did look good. Yeah.
It did. It's a good looking movie. I love Brad Dourif as Brackett. I think he's great.
Yeah, he was probably the best part of, again, like, to me, the Rob Zombie era was more about, these would have been better movies if they were just called something else. Like, these were fine movies on their own. Well, but judging them by that Halloween lens, you know.
Maybe at this point he's sitting there laughing, right?
Well,
sitting back.
His movies are getting a lot more respect now after this trilogy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're getting a lot more respect. Like, no one's coming out and being like, "Oh my God, I love those movies now." But people are now have almost a little bit more respect for them. Now, I know I have more respect for them now than I did.
To be fair, they always had their fans, because Rob Zombie's just one of those guys. Like, he can take a shit in a box and people would be like, "Oh my God, it's brilliant. I love everything he does. This man is the greatest." Like, he's just at that level. You get big enough, you'll have ride or die fans like that. You know, like the Munsters movie. Like, come on. Like, people are still like worship the guy, and they always will. I'm not, you know, whatever. But so. And there's always going to be those nostalgic people. Oh, that's the first one I saw. I was 10 when it came out, or whatever. There's always going to be people that love the weird entries. But I do want to go to the live chat for a bit. It's actually been going pretty wild today. Matt Sharp, again, Mashup Genius, has an interesting point. He says, "I'm scared for David Gordon Green's Exorcist remake now, or reboot, or whatever it is."
Is that right?
And
is that happening?
I am too. He's also apparently doing a Hellraiser TV series.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if I care as much about that, but
they're doing a trilogy with the Exorcist movie too. I read.
Oh, great! Let's have him be the trilogy guy. The trilogy.
And I think Ellen Bernstein's coming back for Exorcist, but that now means nothing because Jamie Lee Curtis came back for this Halloween trilogy, and it was still horrible. So
he's gonna fight Pazuzu.
Yeah,
it's getting to a point where they're bringing back people too that are gonna, like, not to disrespect Ellen Burstyn, she's great. But, you know, it's the pizza guy from the third film when they order pizza. Don't you remember?
No.
Oh, all right. You guys are unscarable. Forget it. Like, that's
maybe
kind of where we are now.
Maybe you guys have a better idea of this, but like when they brought her back the first time, Jamie Lee Curtis, right? My understanding was that she was very particular about if she was going to come back and do this again, that she was going to have notes, you know? Like she wanted, you know, like she wanted the character done right. And I just can't imagine that she read, especially the second and third script for these.
I don't believe
what they had her doing, and she wasn't like, maybe she doesn't care at this point. She's like, "Oh, fuck it, just have fun with it." But like,
she said it before though. She's like, "If they pay me what I want, I'll do it." Because people have been asking her for. Well, yeah, people have been asking her for. It's the same as John Carpenter. If you write the check, he'll be there.
Yeah.
Why don't they pay him? Because this obviously isn't working. It didn't work before.
Because they can, instead of paying him his directorial fee, which he's entitled to for having lost so much of the rights of these movies for so long, instead of paying him a hefty directorial fee, they can throw him a percentage as a producer and have his name on it and pay him much less to just go around and say kind things about the film while it's coming out. That's the way it works. Like, that's what they did for James Cameron in the new Terminator movie, and, you know, you get the rights back, but it's all the same. It's like, all right, let's pay him and make him an EP, and people will think he's involved, and, you know.
Not gonna fool fans of these things anymore. Like, we have the internet now.
Yeah, John Carpenter being a producer on the film means absolutely nothing, because he's made it very clear that if you write the check, he will be there. So it does not matter.
For all of you, because I was confused. What was your perspective? Like, what did you get in the sewer scene? What was happening when Michael looked through Corey? What did you take out of that? Did you take it as like, oh, we're doing supernatural stuff again, or, oh, I see an evil in you, I'm possessing you? Like, what was your take on what happened?
Corey really went from being like, this terrible thing happened and everyone doesn't believe that. And he did accidentally do it. Like, he never set out to hurt anyone prior to this. You're led to believe he's never been a bad person in that respect. And he takes a turn real fucking quick, right? Like, he kills that bum, in self-defense, which is fine. And then you want to see like maybe he's gradually turning, but it's not gradual at all. In the next scene, he's just like a sadistic murderer who's trying, who's just loving it. And that doesn't answer your question at all. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that could possibly. Yeah, because he's not Michael Myers. It doesn't it's not the. And again, in that weird Friday the 13th movie where he's spitting himself into other people, it's he doesn't become him at all.
No, because Michael Myers. They had a connection because he like looks through his eyes and he like it just zooms in and he sees everything that he has done or whatever, the pain, and it's like
you killed the kid too, all right, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of figured, to me, I was like, oh well, Michael was just too weak to kill him. I don't know. And then Corey comes back and is like, show me how you do it. And so Michael's like, oh,
that was some, again, like, I feel like everything rips off Cobra Kai and I say it too much, but I mean, come on, man.
Oh yeah, no, Michael was like, he wanted Michael to be his Mr. Miyagi.
Like they want everyone. No, they want everyone to be Johnny Lawrence now. That's the thing. They even tried to make Gordon Bombay Johnny Lawrence on the Mighty Ducks show, but the Disney version. He couldn't be a drunk. He has to be like eating junky food.
He's just depressed
and eats junk food in every scene because that's like, oh, he's so unravelable.
So when they were wrestling in that sewer pipe, that was him teaching him how to. He was like, when I started out, like we'd have to tackle him and get him or whatever. Like, we'll work up the knives. For now, we're
teaching him like Muay Thai and shit, like Hapkido. Like, it was ridiculous. It was the most ludicrous.
Whose idea is this? How is this written?
Right.
Yeah.
I want to
know how it's pitched because there's like
I want to see the training montage. I want to see the training.
They're on the beach. They're
gonna need a montage.
Well, and you know what too? And then as soon as so the opening credits of Halloween ends, it shows like 4 writers, and I'm like, that's your first really bad sign is that it took 4 people to write this shit.
Mm-hmm. And that's not counting whoever may have been uncredited to fix it in the 11th hour or whatever was improvised on set.
What was your take on it? What did you think?
Martin.
I thought that this trilogy was not going supernatural from the first movie. I thought he was just it was just like he's just a killer who's a psycho. And then at the end of Halloween Kills, when he's getting like beat up in that mob and he gets up, I was like, oh no, wait a minute, like he should be dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So I have no idea because he was so strong in that movie, and then he's weak in a sewer later, getting beat up by some high school or whatever grade they're. I don't know.
Like, high school kids beat up the guy who beat him up. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. Not to harp on the same point over and over again, but I think almost all of us mentioned Halloween 4 as one of our favorites, and or at least is not maybe our favorite sequel, but one of our favorite sequels. And again, this movie is based on the premise for you to like take your favorite Halloween sequel and say, oh no, never mind, that one doesn't count. I must be stupid for liking that one. Like that's sort of what it feels like it's jumping off. And again, it's just fan fiction run amok to me. Well, that's what this whole trilogy feels like.
I think they wanted to, like you said, these movies don't seem really made for the fans. I feel like they focus so much on what commentary they want to put out of the evil that Michael has spread in this town and stuff like that. And Steven, you had said that like the kid Corey seemed like fine, and that it was just such a quick change. But there was like little things that I feel like they might have wanted you to believe that he wasn't fine, like the relationship he has with his mother, which is so weird that
Right.
like she
Yeah.
like grabs him and kisses him on the lips.
Yeah, that was random as fuck too.
But
Like,
then he also
they-
has that sweet relationship
yeah.
with his I think stepdad.
that
He's like,
father, it took us a
I
while
hope
to figure that
I
out. Yeah.
hope you
Yeah.
find love.
Yeah. Well, dude, you can't just have one scene like that. That so she seems annoying. Yeah, she seems naggy, and she's giving him a hard time. He's living at home, and he's 40. You know, like, all right. And then all of a sudden, she just tries to kiss him on the mouth, and he's like, "I'm out."
I
And
got
he's like,
some weird, like, yeah, definitely some vague sexual like
yeah,
stuff going on that maybe they were like, oh, you know, Corey has some things going on that, you know, he's not just a normal kid, but it's like, but you don't explain anything. So it's
right.
like,
You can't just all of a sudden in the part of the movie just scream like, "It's the town that's evil."
yeah.
You know what I mean? To have that,
Right.
and that's all you need for that. No, like, you have to really explain and show how this has been affecting this town in some kind of capacity, or people around it. You can't just at
Well,
one
they're
point
all
be like, "It's the
upset
town."
and they blame Laurie for it because
Right.
you know
They have a
it's
throwaway line about too in the bar about that in the bar where he's like, "Yeah, well, you know, towns like this, they start gossiping and gets blown way out, you know, something along those lines." He's like, people are gonna just gossip about what they, you know, what they make up.
yeah.
Lindsay was the bartender
Yeah.
for no reason. Like she was
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't
And
do anything.
I think Melanie said, and the tarot card reader as well.
Sure.
I honestly think it would have been better. Like, here's the thing, like, I always dreamed of a sequel that would not require retconning any of it.
Thank you.
Like, I was like, you know what? Just own the mistakes that the franchise has made and find a way to make it work. You know, and that's always been my dream is a good sequel that just finds a way to make it all work.
personally.
No one has to get retconned. The Jamie Lloyd story can still be there.
Yes.
Josh Hartnett still
Yeah,
exists.
there you go. Just
You know, yeah, like, and I don't even love H2O, but again, it's
no, but
like,
he can still exist, and he doesn't need to be there. He can still exist and just be somewhere fucking else, you know?
right,
Because it's about Jamie, because people love Jamie Lloyd, you
Not
know?
to go off of,
right.
No, have you seen have any of you seen the Chucky TV series?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
Chucky
it's
TV
great.
series is phenomenal.
It's great, dude. Yeah,
It's
it's really
good.
good. Yeah.
It's not changing anything. Everything is in every movie has like made its way basically into this show besides the reboot or whatever, but they're not
Yeah.
canceling any of the previous. They continued from the movies that went straight to DVD that not a lot of people
Yeah.
have probably even seen.
Right.
But they also
And
did it in a way, like great sequels do, that it's not necessary for you to have seen Cult of Chucky or Curse of Chucky or Seed of Chucky, or you know, you could have watched just any one of these and you'd understand the series well
But
enough.
this show pulled all people that were
Yeah.
still somehow always so involved in that franchise and love that franchise. They have all the, you know, everyone has always been a part of it. Have the writers from it, you know, like, and
The original
obviously-
writer, Don Mancini.
yeah, the original writer of it. They stepped
That's
up.
why.
They really put a lot of care into it. You know, like they really, you can tell. They made
It is funny.
really, yeah.
It's funny. Halloween finally gets its, you know, big shot with the whole trilogy of continuity and all this stuff. What do? They retcon everything, and they do something that's worse than a fucking direct-to-cable TV series of
Right.
Chucky. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the interesting part is that like everything has gone to shit now. Like Exorcist has gone to shit. Michael Myers, you know, Halloween's gone to shit. Friday the 13th's gone to shit. Nightmare on Elm Street's gone to shit. But you know something? Chucky is just purring along, and he's doing the best work of his career. And there is something kind of
they figured out how that
hilarious and
works.
awesome
Yeah.
about that.
That
And that's
works
what's
in-
ridiculous is I don't even like the Child's Play movies all that
Right.
much.
Yeah.
Like they're just fine, but I
Yeah.
don't revisit them often at all.
Yeah.
But that series is so good. It is
Yeah.
so well done. Like it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that as good as it is.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who aren't fans of the movies also this is their favorite thing from it. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite thing they've done. I mean, it probably is the Child's Play in general. I mean, the first one
Yeah.
has a lot
Oh, yeah.
of it's dumb and it's, yeah, but It's
To
really,
me,
really well
it's
done.
like it's all about Child's Play 2 and this series, and
Yeah.
that's probably the one they lean on the most nostalgia-wise is Child's Play 2.
Well, I think they figured out
and I guess Bride,
that's the correct medium to bring that back and do that,
Yeah.
but in the right way or whatever. I think if they made another Trekkie movie, it wouldn't have mattered how good it was or not. It probably would have just gotten,
I think if you just would have honored the fans, done a trilogy of movies, your first one has Jamie Lee Curtis. Maybe at the end of the first movie, Daniel Harris shows up. So you get that, like, oh man, the second movie they're both going to be in. It's going to be incredible. And then the third movie is the fucking finale conclusion. So
but then
each
for
movie
Daniel
is
Harris
an event movie.
But for Daniel Harris to show up would
be amazing.
Halloween. Well, it would retcon Halloween 6.
Well, yeah, that's true. It would retcon that. But
which I'm sure a lot of people would love. Like, don't get me wrong.
That would be okay. I feel like you could get away with that because it wasn't her. If it was Daniel Harris in Halloween 6, a lot harder to retcon, but because that wasn't her, I feel
that
like
was the character though.
No, it was the character, but it wasn't.
It's tough. I mean, if
I
you
feel
got,
like you retconned that already in H2O anyways,
I would like to see, so I think it would be more so like, I don't think you can bring Jamie Lloyd back if you want to keep all the sequels in, you can't bring Jamie Lloyd back, you just can't. But you can make that an element of the story, like Laurie, did all these things to try, she faked her death and she faked her death and went and changed her name. And then she did all these things to try and like keep her daughter safe, and it still didn't work. So, and she has to live with that guilt that not only did she abandon her daughter, but she still didn't, even though she did it for her own good, she still couldn't save her.
That's interesting, actually.
That is interesting.
It's a lot more interesting than anything they jump off of in this trilogy, that's for sure. Like, I'd watch that. I still want the two of them together. I just feel like there's something that the fans deserve it, because we put up with some shit.
Ooh, what if Laurie is like haunted by like Jamie Lloyd's spirit or something? But it's not really her. It's just she basically just has like, she's like a part of her subconscious, and
could be there's other ways she could be in the movie, like you said, like
but
that.
Not in like a Billy, not sort of like her dark,
some Dexter shit
almost, but Jamie Lloyd's not trying to get her to kill people, but no, like but not in a way that like they brought Billy Loomis back in Scream 5, like that was dumb. But
right,
spoiler alert, good lord.
Well,
no, I know,
if you haven't seen it yet, that's a you problem.
No, I did, I saw it.
But yeah, no, I feel like there are ways that, again, I think there are ways to just make a sequel that don't retcon any of it, but it's too late now, unless you retcon the Blumhouse trilogy, which honestly, fuck it, do it. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Do it. Like,
at this point, because Jamie Lee Curtis is done, I hope that we get someone who wants to do something for the fans next. Because let's face it, it's not done. It's not tied up in court like Friday the 13th is. So there'll be another Halloween movie within 5 to 8 years max, if not sooner.
Did this last one do well as well? Like,
yeah, I mean, they all do well because they come out in October, and
it's just, they're just Halloween movies at Halloween. Yeah.
Halloween Ends did pretty well. Like, they're pretty happy with its performance, which
this is why.
Considering that it was also available on streaming, which is how I watched it, because I didn't even want to waste my time going to the theater for it. But which is so sad, because it's like now I get the chance to see these movies in a theater, and I don't even want to do that now. No. So I
told Chris that after we saw Kills, I was like, if we went and sat in the theater, I would be so much more upset.
There were times where we almost turned it off, watching it. Like, if this was not a Halloween movie, we would have turned it off right there, like mid conversation between characters, because it was just so lazy. It was just so like, this isn't even a conversation.
Right.
I'm traditionally not like a big movie cynic. I'm actually a big apologist.
Oh yeah, Steve loves everything. Yeah, you defend every shit movie.
I'll try to do the movie's work for it to figure out why it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, Steve becomes the publicist for every shitty movie I attack.
But
Right.
this was yeah.
I think Ed has, dare I say, interesting ideas, but not for an ending of a Halloween film.
I agree. I felt like they actually tried. Like, it didn't come out well, but I feel like they tried to do something with this movie, unlike Halloween Kills.
Like, if you want to introduce, if this is, because I love the Daniel Harris, Jamie Lee Curtis, like, if that was it, like you guys were saying, if it was something along that line, but it wasn't, and I feel like it's too late. So I feel like, yeah, with this, I feel like introducing Corey, like this brand new character.
But see, though, if that would make a lot more sense if that's how the first one started.
If they introduced
to him in some kind of weird way.
Yeah, if they introduced Corey in a previous film and we spent more time and maybe got to even care about him instead of because almost at the end of this movie, right before Laurie and Michael's showdown, Corey dies. Corey gets killed. Michael kills him. And I feel like when that happens, everything that we saw before that means nothing.
You're absolutely right.
Like I thought that Laurie was going to kill both of them at the same time. I was like, oh, he's going to have to, at this point, you spend so much time with your main character, Corey, that he has to make it to the end. He has to, someone has, like, right? But no, it's like, no, okay, Michael gets his mask back. You meant nothing, even though you're supposed to mean a lot of something. Like, it just,
he's Corey MacGuffin, you know.
His motivations are, so he's there to kill her because he knows that she doesn't want him to be with her granddaughter, who's already with him anyway. Like, she's already,
which makes no sense. Also,
being a petulant 28-year-old, and like, you know, and being like, what did you do, Mom? Like, I'm leaving.
Oh,
you know.
And I gotta say,
is he in the house with a knife? Why is
And I gotta say, weirdest line ever spoken by Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie. And I think Melanie's already rolling her eyes because she knows where I'm going with this. But I can't remember exactly what it is, but something to the effect of, she says, like, oh yeah, something that just makes you want to rip your tits out and blah, 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 whatever it was. I was like, what is that? What? Yeah. What? Okay, Grandma, let's get you to bed.
We're like getting the version of Laurie who was at Woodstock in '69, you know?
Things like that in this movie. The marching band bullies that beat up Corey. Why do we even need to call them a marching band? Why do we even have to say that that's what they were?
Because this movie's so, like, it's so on a surface level, it's so poorly written and poorly thought out. That's literally somebody sitting there being like, instead of footballs, they got like they're marching banders, you know.
And I don't care so much about that. Like, band people can be assholes too.
But can they really be like, we threw a guy off a 50-foot ledge and then decided to beat him up some more type of assholes?
I mean, maybe.
And that's why I was saying that the town seems so small, because he ran into them like 3 times at the worst possible moment just because. Like, it I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Is there anything that you guys liked?
Pass.
He looked good. Michael Myers looked good.
He always looks good.
Yeah,
like in these ones. Well, in these ones he does. He always looks good.
Yeah. Some of the
I mean, I guess I liked that it wasn't Halloween Kills and I didn't have to hear Evil Dies Tonight every 10 seconds.
God, yeah.
I guess that's really, honestly, that's the only credit I can give it, is it's not Halloween Kills.
I think I like parts of the first one. I'm trying to remember what they were, but I do remember going out to that, you know, like the aspects of it.
I like the memes and the mashups that we're gonna get from it, personally.
Yeah.
We've already seen quite a few.
Honestly, if somebody, like, I hate this trilogy. I don't own like any of these new films. But if you know, there was a shirt of, you know, Michael and Corey on a motorcycle and it said Evil Rides Tonight, I would wear that.
Right.
Staunch TV,
I will wear anything that makes fun of these movies.
I didn't mind. I guess I didn't mind the DJ kill.
That was kind of gross, though. Which
there were some decent kills in them.
It wasn't done by a
yeah, but I mean, these are the original's not a gore fest. I know 2 was, but like it's about suspense, you know, and
2
story.
is very mild, though. Like,
yeah,
you know, and I think that's one of my biggest issues that I take with like people who really defend this trilogy. Well, and at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, who gives a shit? You know, like these Halloween films have no impact on you know, the way the universe shifts, you know, it's but the thing that I see people defending about like Halloween kills, oh well, the kills are so good. Okay, but that's not what these movies are. It's not what they're supposed to be.
It's not Friday 13th. Yeah.
Exactly. That's not what this series is. Like the reason that one of the reasons the original Halloween is so well regarded is because it accomplishes so much while showing you so little.
Yeah. And that's what worked in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's what worked in Halloween 4 as well. Why that's such a favorite,
right?
You know?
Right. It's like it relies on amazing cinematography, amazing music, likable characters, and characters who are also interesting. And it relies on so many different elements that the way these people are killed doesn't really matter. You're just kind of like, oh, that sucks. Like, you know, it's you know, these are characters that you don't hate. These aren't characters that exist just to be, you know, part of a body count. They actually add to the story, and you know, this new trilogy just completely shits on that. And I get that things change over the years, and gory films are a lot more accepted now than, you know, they were back then, but Halloween has just always been classy.
Right.
And I wish they could have found a way to just keep these movies really classy.
Yeah.
And they totally just screwed the pooch on it.
Great.
That is a dynamite way of letting us know that our time is just about up. So before we close it out, and again, I want to thank everyone so much for tuning in. Names that, you know, if I didn't get to see, like Jose Corona, Carlos FM, Hardcore Graveyard, you know, Gold's Code. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Before we wrap it up, Martin, Melanie, Steve, is there anything you guys have got coming up in the works you want to let people know about? Any DVDs coming out, articles going up, singles, or things hitting streaming? I see some rolling eyes and not so much. Okay, well, I'll do it for you guys. Get the Earth Girls Are Easy Blu-ray. It's coming out soon.
Oh, yeah.
Check out some of Martin's articles on Fandom Spotlight, and definitely go see Terrifier 2 to get a sneak peek at the newest Crash Romeo single. Also, you Fandom fans might want to tune in tomorrow night at 9 p.m. and we try and sequelize another Carpenter classic with our Christine episode of VCR Redux. As always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment outside the live chat. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow 9 Network, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.